John.
Angie.
So, as someone who's already a coach, I can honestly say it's a fantastic opportunity for personal growth and to help others reach their potential. I feel like coaching allows me to make a real difference in people's lives and develop my own communication and leadership skills. Plus, the sense of fulfillment I get really helps me when I see the progress. It's genuinely rewarding for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Angie. And from my own experience, I think it's important to consider the challenges as well. This part is not for everyone. I've actually seen that very clearly with someone I worked with this week. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of empathy. And we both know that there are times when you deal with setbacks or slow progress, there's a lot of pressure to deliver results. And
Mm,
sometimes people expect coaches to have all the answers or to solve everything for them. And if you're not
hmm
prepared for the realities, coaching might not be the right fit for you.
Yeah, that's really true. Coaching demands a lot from you, both personally and professionally. Now, for those passionate about helping others and open to continuous learning, I think the rewards often outweigh the challenges. I found that going into coaching with like realistic expectations and a willingness to grow alongside my clients makes the difference. But I didn't know that in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. The real question isn't just should I become a coach, but am I really ready for everything that involves? And so it's
Mm.
important to not just reflect on your motivations, but really whether you're prepared to face both the rewards and the difficulties that come with this role.
Welcome to the Coaching Clinic with John and Angie.
The show for professional coaches who want to develop their skills and grow their business.
Follow the show on your favorite podcast app.
And join us every Wednesday for new episodes. Yeah, I think you and I have talked in the past about, we first started doing this podcast. We started talking about like how to become a coach and how to start a coaching business. But I don't know if we've really gotten into the nitty gritty about the shock that comes along with what starts out as this great motivating idea and into the reality. I think what you said is really important about the demands. It's very hard to anticipate those.
I do think as well that there are so many people, and we have touched on this on there, but there are so many people who are saying, oh, no, become a coach. If you don't know which way you'd like to become a coach, become a coach. It's like,
Yeah.
it's all over the place. Start making, start your six-figure business as a coach. Start making whatever a month.
Oh, I feel like we're on. Oh, right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm reacting. I was being triggered there for a minute because we see so much of this every platform. I don't even care
Yeah.
what the platform is. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go back. I'm sorry.
But I understand that is the thing of, well, there's something that is very low barrier to entry industry,
Mm.
and that people say, oh, like, well, yeah, this is the potential of what we can offer you. So we're going to advertise it as you can come and be a 6-7 figure coach with our
Oh,
method and blah, 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 and come and start your coaching business. And then the reality of that, when it hits for most people, recognize some point they start to recognize they may have made a bad decision and may have invested significant amounts of money in a career that might not even be right for them. First of all, there's this whole thing of making that move from being an employee that many people do
yeah.
to this is an entrepreneurial role. You will be a
Yeah.
business owner as a coach, and unless you are looking to be employed by a company in a coaching role, that's a bit harder to do, but possible. But generally, you're going to be working for yourself or working as a contractor. And so this is a very different world to where you get given your KPIs and you're told, you pretty much know what you have to do day to day. As a business owner, you do need to know what you should be doing every day, but there isn't somebody there to tell you that. There's no manager who's going to call you into the office and say, hey, you're not delivering. And there's no one who is
Yeah.
going to say, well, hey, you've done a great job as well when you have.
I
So
think I think you're touching on so there's so many facets. It's like any business. I don't care if it's a brick and mortar or if it's something like this where you can work remotely. You have to do all the preparation. You're selling a product. You have to decide what the product is. But I want to take this back even further. I feel like if you if you want to be a consultant, if you want to leave the job, the job, a lot of this, right, we've talked about it, has happened since COVID, especially. Like a lot of this, I want to work remotely. I want. I think there's been a little bit shift back toward the more traditional, but,
Sure.
in terms of workplace, but there was a lot of motivation. And I feel like that the growth that we've talked about in previous episodes, and how this industry since 2019 has grown globally over 500%. The statistics are true. I did not grab them from the air. So there is competition, but I feel like the competition almost doesn't matter if you are solid in your why. Right? If you really don't do this. I'm going to say this and people are going to come at us. You know that, because I don't usually say to do or not do.
Let them bring it
I'm going to let them bring it to me. But don't become a coach because you think that it's like, oh, it's so much easier than what I was doing. I don't care if you're a CEO or president of a huge company, a huge organization. Now, there are benefits to that. You might have some really great connections to people that the average person may not have. But if you're still not good at your craft, that will eventually fizzle out. It always does. I have coached coaches a lot that are in that space where they're kind of like, oh, it was so much easier in the beginning, which is not something we generally hear, right? More people struggle in the beginning because the idea is exciting and it's like, I can help, I have something to offer. If there is not an excitement and if there is not a passion in coaching, right, consulting is different. So we've talked about the differences, but, don't do it because you're going to waste your time. I'm being honest. Don't laugh.
It seems like an easy path. It seems like a cushy option. Oh, I just get to get on a or whatever with people and just have them talk about what they're doing or give them a few suggestions or whatever else. There's so much more to it, and really a never-ending growth journey that comes along with this. But like with many things, the reality of getting started with something to then being able to continue with it, the simple truth is that most people are really good at getting started with stuff.
Sure.
Well, not everyone's great at that, but
let me set up my LLC. Sorry, go ahead.
But when reality starts to hit, when things take longer than you think they should, when people aren't queuing up at your door to sign you up as a coach and all this kind of stuff, or challenges start to arise, or coaching sessions don't go well, things start to look a bit different. Other options and possibilities will start to look more attractive. And it's hard to get through those stages.
I have a question for you. So we started talking like as an experienced coach. We're both experienced as entrepreneurs, as consultants, as speakers, and as coaches. So let me ask you something. From your perspective and your experience, what do you think is a very a top line question that somebody should ask themselves before they even embark on a shift into coaching? Anything stand out for you? Because I have a couple, but I'm curious on what you, based on experience, what would be in that, that top 3 or 5 questions to ask yourself, should I become a coach? We should ask ourselves that.
Well, I think probably one of the first things to ask yourself is, do I really understand what coaching is? Because hopefully you do. And if you don't, that's something you need to dig a little deeper into what that looks like, because it's not as simple as, we've addressed this before, but it's not as simple as perhaps what ICF or other organizations say, where it's just ontological coach, just asking questions. The practical reality of being a coach and having your own business as a coach is that it won't just be ontological coaching. It's very hard to just stick to that, because people do have an expectation. Like if they come to you as a coach because you have years of experience in sales, for example, and they want a sales coach, and you won't talk to them about your experience, or things like, you'll only ask them questions, they're going to get pretty frustrated with you, because you have all these years of knowledge and experience that you could be applying and helping them with, and all you ever do is ask them ontological questions. it's going to be a real struggle. So I think the practicalities of coaching in real life often get a bit more blurred in terms of mentorship or consulting as well. Some of these things will end up blending into most people's coaching practices. So understanding what it is and what it ultimately ends up looking like is really important as well. And this is one of the reasons why an 18-year-old, for example, is going to have a real struggle coming in and coaching somebody who maybe is in their 40s or 50s on a topic where they maybe have no experience, or they don't have enough life experience to be able to help with. Not saying an 18-year-old couldn't be a good coach, but you have a lot more that you would need to prove in order to be a good coach to the people who you want to coach. So the questions that follow on from that are, who do I want to help? How do I want to help them? What do I bring to the table as a coach that might help me to be unique or position myself in the industry? Am I prepared to put in the time and effort to get clients and work for myself as a business owner and do the prospecting? And of course, there's probably more, but those are the ones that probably fly off the top of my head as questions you should ask yourself.
I have a big one. And I think so everything you're saying is absolutely true. You have to decide, who is it you want to be? What's the vision look like? And then you set some goals and again, do the business planning. The business planning. I think one of the things that most of the people that I've gone through this myself. Also, I've gone through this with many, many, many clients. How much money do you have? Right? Are you going to stay working in something else while you transition into coaching, which is even more difficult because you're going to get the results that you put in, or right, if you're like, I'm done, or I got laid off, even maybe that's it. Maybe it's I got fired. What do I do now? I'll become a coach, like you said, pretty relatively easy access to it, and I can do this. Like, I think we're downplaying it a little bit, but how long? How long can you support yourself? If you're an adult person, you probably have rent or a mortgage or a cell phone bill, health insurance. I don't know, whatever those are. How long are you able to sustain yourself before the red light starts flashing and buzzing behind you, which really changes how you approach things? I think it's something that needs to be considered. How much time do I have?
I've had both, Angie. I've had both situations, which might sound weird. It's like, well, how many times do you start? For me, it was a couple of times. I left the job. I took voluntary redundancy. It was, I volunteered to be laid off, and took a package for doing that. And I had a minimum amount that package had to be at least this to give me the buffer that I needed to be able to launch my business. And I got the minimum, just about.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I had, with that, I had roughly 12 months to be able to cover costs and not need to have the business working successfully, like just to build things up and be able to know that I'd still have a roof over my head and all that.
Right.
Things did not go well that first time out. But when I ended up, one licked my wounds and came back to it, I did the other option, which was transitioning out of a job that I already had.
Yeah.
And that was, in some ways, it was harder. I knew a bit more about what I was doing right ahead, but it was harder because I was having to get up early to sometimes run client calls because I was getting clients from
Right.
early morning sessions with. I was doing client calls in my lunch breaks. I was doing client calls after work. I was doing client calls a week.
Ooh, you're making me tired. No, I'm joking.
But I was barely having any time off to do this. I really had to get my hustle on. And after 3 months, things were getting better. After 6 months, I was in a position to be able to leave the job that I was doing to pay the bills and be able to do full-time coaching. I had enough of a client list. I had enough going on that that was when I realized, I can actually work fully remotely and don't need to be tied to this. And that transition was damn hard. I'm not going to lie about it.
You are. It's like you're preparing for the prize fight. Like when you're transitioning, I think like if you're staying in something and you're transitioning into coaching, I feel like for me personally, it was harder because I did have to expend a ton of energy in both places still because I was not, I could have, but I did not. I have this, I'm a little bit that way. I didn't want to let go of what was coming in until there was enough, you know, change and enough coming in from coaching to really do what I wanted to do and be able to support myself. I could have just said, nah, forget it. Let me just give myself 12 months. To me, that just felt like waste of money. It felt wasteful for me. It didn't feel like an investment at the time. And I think that's a very personal, what's your relationship with money? Whole different episode, maybe a whole different conversation someplace else. But that was a big thing for me. It was very hard
Mhm.
for me to do the transition. And when you do that, like any business, you're not going to just sail through. You're going to hustle when you're opening a business, period. So now you're still doing whatever it is you were doing and adding on top of that all of the details. So maybe things don't happen as quickly as if you were only doing that, right? But at the same time, you're still maintaining some stability while going through that process.
I don't know what the current stats are for this, but just realistically, have mentioned it, I think, very early on when we started making the show, but the statistics of people who actually start a coaching business and stay in it, or actually are still there within 3 to 5 years after starting their business, is a much smaller amount of people. Is that statistically, the chances are you will give up before you get to 3 or 5 years with your coaching business and see any success with it. And similarly with, I think it's sold. I know you've got looking at some stats there. And
Yes, I did. Did you hear me tapping away? I'm sorry.
yeah,
I was just
I,
curious.
let's take a look at that first, because then I'll come to the other bit that I want to follow on from that with.
So it's just, I mean, I just did a very quick Google search. So if you find something different, don't come at me. For regular businesses, it's, most 80 to 90% of new businesses fail within the first 3 years. However, in coaching, what I'm looking at and seeing here is it's a 2-year failure rate of approximately 82% of coaching businesses do not survive past their second year. Um, and 80 to 90 fail within the first 3 years. So it's a
So
higher level than any other
yeah,
business. They have a general business failure rate of 40% within 3 years. But for specifically for coaching businesses, it's 80 to 90% that fail within the first 3 years. And it's not because of a bad idea, or mostly not because you're a stinky coach. It's because the expectation was nowhere near meeting up with, there was a gap in the reality versus the expectation. So, I mean, we're certainly not looking to dissuade anybody, but I those reality checks are very necessary, right? You and I've done it.
I think so. I think so. And especially important to be asking yourselves those questions we were talking about, because this is really what you're coming up against. It's like, well, of course you want to be the exception to the rule. And I'll say this is like, when I was in the more struggled days, early on when I was getting started with all of this, I knew people who had been in coaching for a long time, didn't seem to be like huge with it, but it was sort of
Yeah.
ticking over and ticking over. And turned out a whole bunch of them were married to someone who had lots of money or came from a wealthy
Sure.
background. They already had they're already very well off and were doing coaching because it was something they enjoyed doing. They did not need to make their money or business from coaching. They were doing it because they wanted to, and they were able to stay in it for as long as they wanted because they weren't
Yeah.
dependent. They weren't dependent on coaching for their
Hey, listen,
survival.
hallelujah for anybody who has that situation, for anybody who doesn't have to
Maybe
go to
do.
work, no matter what the goal is, whether it's a job or a business, like good for you, but you're not our people. You are not who we're talking to right now. I think what you said in the very, very beginning is the most important piece of this is it the top, like, first of all, like, why do you want to be a coach, right? It can't just be because you think, like that there's a passion. Maybe you're good at something, but it needs to not just be about you. It's what you're offering. What am I looking to have people experience by working with me? What are my outcomes? That's a different situation. But
Very
really,
much.
are you ready? Is this the time? Again, we talked about like if you lose a job or something, maybe it becomes more emergent. You go, let me go to this. It seems like it'll be quick. If you are somebody who needs it in a more, and not maybe even if you're not, if you just want to kind of do things with like methodically, maybe you hire a coach, a coach who does coaching to help you along the process so that you don't maybe trip and fall as often as you will. But on the other side of that, if you actually do sit back and say, oh, like John, you said earlier, I had 12 months. You could get a basic, I feel like, foundational coaching business put together in 12 months. You might get lucky. You might know some people. You might get some clients, and that's great. But which we've talked about, you always have to keep the pipeline full anyway. So are you ready to start a coaching business? Are
Yeah.
you ready?
But
Are you ready for the challenges?
I think these are all really important things to be asking yourself. And I think also one thing, and we have touched it in a much earlier episode, but what is your experience of coaching as someone who's looking to coach? Do you have a coach? Have you worked with coaches? Have people had experiences with coaches that you loved and experiences with coaches that you didn't? Maybe you've never had a coach, but you need to get one. You need to know what coaching is and what it
Yeah.
can do for you.
Yeah.
If you really want to believe in coaching as something that is of value to other people as well, because if you don't value it for yourself, how the heck do you expect anyone to value you for what you do as well? If you don't even believe in the value of coaching, you must get yourself a coach, even if it's not the coach you most want to work with right now, somebody that you can start working with. But
Agreed. We always
look,
say
so
that though, John, right? We didn't have that luxury back in the day. We had to walk to school uphill 3 miles in the snow every day to get our coaching businesses started and to where they're at today. It was not easy. And it still changes because the landscape of the industry changes every day
I
almost.
feel, yeah, I think one of the bits that I really wanted to get to is that I feel like a lot of the time it's being sold as a career that is easy to do and they're being sold in the same way as like, remember those Amazon drop shipping things that was around a few years ago? That's all died off now. Or I don't know what the latest things are. I've seen stuff around book selling and things like that, or whatever it is, network marketing, direct sales.
Sure.
Whatever it is, these are things that very few people ever have success with. And so but they're being sold as easy access because the barrier to entry is so low. It's easy for them to
Yeah.
market it
Yeah.
because you can call yourself a coach right now and start advertising your services, even if you've never done a moment of training or experience before. And so it's easy for them to do that and say, hey, look, this is the path that could lead you to a 6-7 figure business because other people have done that. But it's like, yeah, but have other people done that with them? Have other people done that with your experience? Does it make it right for you? It's not the case that anyone can do this, but I think that's what it's sold as. Anyone can be a coach.
Listen, I love that you're bringing this up. You did mention it a little bit earlier. I cannot stand the people that are looking to make money off of people who are looking to genuinely start a coaching business by selling it as easy. First of all, I feel like it diminishes the industry, which absolutely drives me to distraction because it's not easy. If you are genuinely, you're laughing, but like certain things really just get me, and minimizing or diminishing what the work we do to me right out of the gate is annoying. And listen, everybody wants to capitalize on an angle, knock yourself out. Social media definitely contributes to all of that. Now you have the capability. John and I, which we've talked about so many times, we could throw together, and I don't even mean it on a low level, we could throw together with our experience a high level new coach training program, from soup to nuts, start to finish, how to start a business and connect people to getting this right. We want to be very thoughtful about that because we don't want to minimize the work we're doing here. We're very careful about that because we really genuinely love the craft. We love what we do. We're both very good at it. So these people that come along and make it sound like a fly by night, if you fail at everything else, just become a coach. Oh my God.
Right.
I get on my broomstick doing turbo because it drives me nuts. If you are genuinely looking to be a professional coach in any sector, in any industry, don't buy into the gimmicks. There is no quick, oh, we'll have you with this in 6 months. Really? Well, why are you doing what you're doing and not making 7 figures? Why are you sitting here on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok? Because you can't be a coach. There, I said it. So you're selling a product as though you have some, right. You've earned those wings. Okay, rant over. I'm sorry, John.
Well, look, you can anyone can call themselves a coach, and that's fine.
Right.
Call yourself a coach. That's what you want to do. But we're going to maybe call you on it a bit and say, well, yeah, but are you a good coach? Do you have experience? What are the results that you've been helping people achieve? Where do you feel you make the biggest difference?
Yeah.
There's stuff that, when we start to dig into it, it's like, sure, you can call yourself a coach, but it doesn't make you a professional coach. It doesn't make you a good coach. There are things that there's a journey to take to get to those things.
Yeah.
And we all, as much as we all want the quick solution, the silver bullet, we have a journey to take to become good coaches. And every month, every year, I'm a better coach than I was. And so when I think, we talk about how long ago we both got started in coaching, whether we realized it or not, we are probably both unrecognizable from the coaches we were when we first got started in many ways, because we know more and we have so much more experience. And that doesn't come just by calling yourself a coach or flicking a switch or paying 5 to 10K for a coaching course. This is stuff that there's some things that can only come from practice and experience.
I'd love to hear from people. What is your experience? I've been getting some messages from people. I've been putting some, information out there to people that I know that are becoming coaches and saying, hey, what are your greatest challenges today as a new coach? I can't speak to that. I'm already a coach. So I can't even go out and get the information, myself. I'm asking people, what are your greatest challenges? Is it expectation? Is it the gimmicks? Have you been caught? I would love to hear anybody who was like, I paid for one of those and it did not get me. It did not yield what it said it would. And not because I want to beat people up. I just want to hear about the reality. I would love to hear back from people on this topic.
Yeah. And if you didn't check out the last episode where I was having a chat with my friend Jules Wyman about trust in the coaching industry, and this is related to about these programs and courses where people offer everything and don't deliver, how that affects us as well. I think it would be fun, maybe even next episode or sometimes we could talk about this aspect of where the responsibility lies for change as well. Because I think some coaches get confused on that, and I think clients sometimes get confused on that. Sometimes we get very confused on that on our own journey and progress, and we think the answer lies in the next course or the next program or the next book or whatever it is, because we're not really applying what it is that we've already learned to know. We just know it.
Yeah.
That's enough, or the answer is going to come. There's going to be a mystical revelation, and everything's going to fall into place.
Sure.
Because we're not really most of us aren't doing the job of application. We're just spending on our learning. And for what? To fill your head. And for what purpose? Because it's not delivering the return on investment for most people. So that could be a fun thing to talk about.
Absolutely. I'm there. I'm ready.
All right, let's wrap it up for today, Angie. But I think this has been a really good topic, and I would love to hear from you as to what you thought about it as well, what your experience has been.
Do you have a question for the coaching clinic?
Reach out on LinkedIn to connect with Angie and John.
Leave us a voicemail or video message, and we will feature you on the show.
You can also leave up to 90-second voicemail for free on www.speakpipe.com/the Coaching Clinic podcast.
We'd love to hear from you.
See you next time.
Bye for now.